The NFL Combine is over, which means more mock drafts for all of us. My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we will be doing a live mock draft for the Miami Dolphins. Now, what do I mean by live? Ryan and I, we will be the front office for the Dolphins going through all of their selections during this mock draft simulator. So while we're doing that, leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the picks and what you would like to see the Dolphins do with each selection. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. So, Ryan, let's pull up PFF here. We've
Let's do
already
it.
kickstarted it. Travis Hunter went first overall to the Titans. Cam Ward, Ted McMillan, Abdul Carter to Ryan's Patriots. He likes that. Mason Graham to
I
the
do.
Jags. Luther Burden to the Raiders. Jade Barron to the Panthers. James Pierce Jr. To the Saints. Ashton Jeanty to the Bears. Jade Campbell to the 49ers. And then Kenneth Grant to the Dallas Cowboys. So for me, I think a lot of different routes that they could end up
Shedeur
going here.
Sanders still on the board. Sorry,
Still
I
on the
just realized
board.
that. Yeah,
That actually legitimately,
kind of makes sense. Um,
it does kind of make sense a little. It's
yeah,
I could see it both ways. Both sides
yeah.
make compelling points.
Uh,
It's a free country. What do they want to do here? So looking at this, they're probably gonna Calais Campbell's probably gone. They're probably gonna move on if they haven't already of Bradley Chubb. Emmanuel Ogbah's a free agent. Tyler Fred. I'm honestly kind of thinking Mike Green here. I know they just got Chop Robinson, but imagine Chop Robinson on one side and Mike Green on the other. They do need offensive line help as well. I'm just
yeah.
looking at this whole of guys who are probably going to walk and not be back.
On defensive line,
Yeah, they have Jalen Phillips though too.
I was leaning more. So I'm a big fan of Armand Mimbu. I feel like this is where him or Calvin Banks could potentially go.
Yeah, both guards are free, and the entire offensive line sucks.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think Armand Mimbu would be a good fit, and then you can go and address the defensive line here in round two.
I like that. Okay,
Okay,
you
let's
make
do
good points.
Armand. Let's do Armand Mimbu. I
So I
think
also
that's
feel like too, Membu, he's the rare exception. Like he could also, I think, be absolutely actually fine at tackle. Like I think
yeah
Will
at
Campbell
six
could
three.
also, yeah. So here now at 46, they just missed out on Braylon Swanson as well. You could do Alfred Collins, you could do Princely Uman Mielen. You know, and actually now I say that too with Jalen Phillips being there, then they have Chop Robinson. That's probably going to be their edge rushing duo as well, and they can get edge
Yeah,
rushers a little bit later on in the draft. They could go Tyler Booker. They could double dip again. I am also
that's
thinking maybe safety as well here. What safeties are on the board?
not a lot of great value there.
A lot of the main ones
Yeah,
that would be in
uh,
that round two.
Kevin Winston, I think would be the one that I would go for, but you might be able to get him. Although you're not picking for 50 picks.
I know.
Kevin Winston was really good at Penn State 2 years ago, and then he got hurt in the middle of the Bowling Green game.
Well,
Uh,
and Javon Holland's probably not going to come back unless they want to pay him.
th- that's a big risk, but I might be worth taking. Especially too, you look at the defensive linemen that are gonna go at their next three picks. I feel like that could be worth it.
And address the defensive line there.
Yeah,
Very curious, Dolphins fan, if you're still with us, let us know your thoughts. But I think this could be a route that they could end up going here because you still have Jalen Ramsey there as well. You're gonna have Cam Smith, who you
yeah,
drafted 2 years ago, and he's
and
mainly was the free safety, right? Yeah,
yeah, he mainly played deep. He played around the box a little bit as well, but he mainly played deep. I think he did a lot of what Javon Holland was doing. He's a little bit bigger, so I feel like Kevin Winston might be the pick. I don't. Yeah, I think that's where I'm leaning.
let's pull the trigger. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah,
All right, and then we'll kind of see where we end up a little bit in a few
it's gonna
picks here.
really dictate. The thing is, there's just such a drop off in the secondary.
Eh, yeah, no,
Like
and I agree. And he's a
so,
really good player when he's healthy.
yeah.
So, okay, let's look. I think defensive line is the biggest need at this point. So, uh, Q Robinson. Aeneas Peebles would be really interesting with his pass rushing capabilities. Has a like 22% pass rush or 18% pass rush win rate
Jeez
um
Louise.
as a defensive tackle. So that's pretty solid.
Let's end up doing that. I like that
Okay.
a lot. Let's do Peoples.
Okay. Do that. They have another pick here in a minute. Um and then Jamari Caldwell would be interesting. That could be like your nose tackle.
It's your big guy up there, especially too if you look at the
Yeah.
defense that they like to run. I mean, it's going to be that 3-4 solid defense where you're going to have
Yeah.
Phillips on one side, then you have Robinson on the other. So if you go get that big meaty guy there, um, and then you go have your other like
Yeah.
traditional like defensive tackles on the outside of him, in between the tackles or over the tackles as well. So I like that.
You can do that. I think too, like that helps that run defense out. It's really all been the trenches so far uh, for the Dolphins, except for Kevin Winston. So
Well, I think it shows you how much they need help in the trenches
yeah,
here as well. Let's even see who's at 135. We could
get another offensive lineman.
maybe now. I think we do need to start looking at secondary.
Yeah.
We could start looking at some receiver depth as well too. I mean, their receiving trio is going to be Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Malik Washington, who they
Hmm.
drafted last year. They do still have Taj Washington also too, who they got in the 7th round of last year. Kind of fit that system that they have of speed. But here though, scroll down a little bit. It could also it could be a sneaky backup quarterback team as well too. Just
Yeah, they have a
knowing
couple like 7th round picks. I feel like that would be more where those guys would go.
maybe, but you also might be maybe a little bit better quality guys. I mean, like if Jackson Dart's still available at 151, I think what you'd want a guy that could sling it with this type of offense. So,
Yeah,
um,
actually, I don't even know if he is. Oh yeah, he is.
yeah, he's still available right there.
Zy Alexander's a good corner that I think would be good depth there. Mitchell Evans is like the more traditional tight end rather than like the who's the guy that was there?
They have Johnu Smith, and Johnu Smith fit.
Johnu
Yeah,
Smith.
Johnu fit
Yeah.
well into what they were doing. So
Mhm.
I think they're fine there. I do like Zy Alexander. I think that would be
Okay.
interesting. Or if they want to go
Let-
Elijah Huzzy and do a nickel corner.
Um, let's stick with Zy Alexander. I feel like Jalen Ramsey getting older, I think, is going to want them to have some more outside corner depth, and then we could
Yeah,
potentially even get a guy a little bit later, like a Jabbar Muhammad,
that
in
works.
the 7th round. So, I like that pick. Again, just to do a quick recap. So secondary and trenches right now. Um, Quinn Ewers would be interesting.
What's their next pick? Not till 226. Oh
No,
no, no.
they have 157, but then there's like a 60 pick. Wait, or almost 70 picks actually. Quincy Riley is that slot corner.
Kyle McCord actually I think would fit better into the system of what they're trying to do, where they're trying
Yeah,
to sling it.
with his big time throw ability.
I
Um,
Another thing too that they're also looking for is they have a lot of their like traditional linebackers are free agents as well. Jordan Brooks is the only one as of right now. Tyrell Dotson's probably going to leave in free agency unless they want to re-sign him. Anthony Walker's a free agent. Duke Riley's a free agent. They can re-sign Duke Riley,
yeah,
but this is also kind of that spot where I think you can get some good value if you'd want to go get a. We haven't
we
done
do.
Kobe King yet
Yeah, we can do
of
Kobe
all our
King.
mocks. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's a more athletic guy.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
just their that's just their MO. It's just gonna be athleticism. So
yeah.
I guess it's every NFL team,
Also,
but
familiarity with
definitely
Chop
Miami.
Robinson. I
Yeah,
feel like that'll work out
that would help
well.
out.
Did Kyle McCord make it here? I actually really like
Yeah,
that fit.
I like
Uh,
Kyle McCord too. I think that
Okay.
would be interesting because it's weird thinking about like Tua, but it's like if Tua does go down, you kind of are going to want a quarterback that can sling it. Now he's going to throw picks, but
Yeah.
I think that
But
could be a guy.
this offense when who was their backup this year?
Tyler Huntley, and then
Yeah.
Skylar Thompson, who actually was the other guy too.
But when their backups were in, this offense went from one of the most aggressive in the league to so conservative that they couldn't even run their system. So I feel like too, even if Tyler Shuck, yeah, he's going to turn the ball over more than Tua, but at least maybe he could do a better job of keeping this offense in rhythm, and actually make like give them some big play threat to
Yeah.
actually go push the ball down the field. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. Here, just to do another quick recap. So addressed all three levels of the defense, addressed the offensive line. I do think we should double dip at offensive line, if there's good value there. Timothy McKay is one. Dylan Fairchild is another. That might be an interesting one because they got Patrick Paul last year. You have Armand Mimbu, I feel like could be potentially be your right tackle, or maybe kick into guard. Dylan Fairchild played mostly left guard, and so that could be an interesting pick there as well.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. I like that. And then now that's multiple picks on the offensive line, multiple picks on the defensive line. Um, should they invest in running back? I know they have a bunch of like big fast guys.
Nah,
Um,
they even got Jalen Wright last year. I mean, so that's
yeah,
the running
that's fair.
back duo. They could get an undrafted guy. Yeah, well, uh, I mean, it's a 7th round pick. To me, I mean, maybe if you wanna go get Jalen Walker as well. He was an athletic guy out of IU.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
do that. You get a couple guys in that linebacking group
and
come
this
up
is what's
and play.
interesting. Well, I'll save my final thoughts here, once when all this is done,
Okay. Well, you can
'cause I'm
say it
not
now. I mean,
well, because I'm not sure on all the other mock drafts, I like it. I've liked this one. I'm curious to go back and look at it, but also part of it too, though, is I'm not a big fan of this
the
roster.
Dolphin. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Dolphins
it's
roster.
very yeah, it's very top heavy with talent, and it's very extremely vulnerable to the slightest of injuries. And
Yeah,
like there's one way I think for them to consistently win. And so when it comes to trying to pick their team, it's like they've almost pigeonholed themselves, I feel.
yeah. Actually speaking of that, so we haven't really addressed the wide receiver spot. That's the only one we haven't done. Uh,
Yeah.
could go and get Brew McCoy. He's a massive wide receiver out of Tennessee. Daquan Felton is kind of a similar mold. Really good athlete, just didn't live up to his potential there. They are lacking a lot of size. So I think with this 7th round pick, we should take a guy that has a decent bit of size.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay, which do you want to do, Brew McCoy or Daquan Felton?
Let's do Brew. Cooler
Okay,
name.
okay. Makes you think of beer. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry, this is a total tangent. My fiance and I, we were calculating how much alcohol we're gonna have to have at our wedding.
Yeah.
Holy cow, it's a lot of
Your
beers.
family's a bunch of alcoholics.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we're gonna have to have like over 350 beers on top of like signature drink servings and wine and seltzers.
Well, and
Like
that's just
it,
for the bridal party.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
So, anyways, back to this mock draft. So, kind of wrap things up here. Amon Mimbu, Kevin Winston Jr., Aeneas Peebles, Jamari Caldwell, Zy Alexander, Kobe King, Kyle McCord, Dylan Fairchild, Jalen Walker, and Brew McCoy. So, double dipping at offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and in the secondary as well. And I do think, like, if you go look at this Dolphins team, they really do need, especially on the offensive line, to go out and get some more talent. It's just not quite enough, I think, for this team for the money that they're spending on the top of this roster. The trenches have just not been able to hold their own weight, and it's really cost this team a lot, I think, in the past couple years.
oh yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what I'm saying too when like looking at that draft, but it's like I'm also just not a big fan of their roster. It just is as of right. I
Mhm.
mean, I've like fantasy wise, yeah, they have some great players, but as a whole, I just don't know. I mean, their offensive line is such a weakness, and then they have some great edge rushers as well. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's still a great name, but it's not the same as what it is. And now they're in kind of a very interesting cap situation. They're not going to be able to keep Javon Holland, who I think uh, could have been a guy that they could have built around as well. If they're able to re-sign him, I think that would be great. So it's just interesting on just which direction they go. We'll know a lot more once when free agency has gone on for a couple weeks, who they end up keeping, what route they end up going. But it does seem like whatever Super Bowl window that this team had, in my opinion, is gone. Because
Yeah.
they're gonna have they're gonna have to try and find lightning in a bottle, get the number one seed. Everything goes through Miami to have their best shot, to take this deep run.
Yeah. No, and I think too that is like the biggest thing for me is they spend so much on the top end of this roster, and when the story's been told, but like when it gets cold, when with like kind of when the going gets tough, when the injuries start to happen, that's really when they fall off a cliff. And I just feel
Mhm.
like they need much more solid trenches than what they currently have. So with that being said, let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Miami Dolphins 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.